Welcome to Bible Quiz Channel. Brace yourself for 30 engaging questions about King David. Can you master this biblical challenge? Before we start, don't forget to subscribe and hit like to help us spread God's Word. After the quiz, please share your score in the comments. We're eager to hear from you. Are you prepared? Let's dive into the video. Question 1. David was a shepherd. What are your thoughts? True or false? Ponder for a moment. And so the answer is true. And David said unto Saul, Thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. First book of Samuel, chapter 17, verse 34. Question 2. David fought and killed Goliath. Do you agree or disagree? True or false? Take a brief moment to think. The reveal shows us true. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. First book of Samuel, chapter 17, verse 50. Question 3. King David was the original creator of the board game checkers, inspired by battle strategies. Your intuition, true or false? Please take 10 seconds to decide. The verdict is clear. It's false. There is no evidence in the Bible that attributes the creation of checkers to King David. While King David was known for his military prowess and strategy, there is no mention of him creating a board game like checkers in the Bible. Question 4. David was a champion in archery, never missing his mark. Is this statement true or false in your opinion? Contemplate for 10 seconds. The appropriate response is false. While David was known for his skill in combat and as a mighty warrior, there is no specific mention in the Bible of David being particularly skilled in archery or never missing his mark. Question 5. David invented the chariot racing in Canaan. What's your perspective? True or false? You have a moment to think. The awaited answer is false. There is no verse in the Bible that states David invented chariot racing in Canaan. Question 6. David became king over Judah. Do you concur? True or false? Take a short while to reflect. As it turns out, the answer is true. And the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. Second book of Samuel, chapter 2, verse 4. Question 7. David invented a new musical instrument, the harpalier, combining the harp and lyre. Your judgment, true or false? Give it 10 seconds of thought. the answer is false. The invention of the harp-a-lyre by David is not mentioned in the Bible. King David is known for his musical talent and playing the harp, but there is no biblical reference to him inventing a new musical instrument called the harp-a-lyre. Question 8. David played the lyre for King Saul. What does your insight say, true or false? Think for 10 seconds. Unveiling the answer, it is true. And it came to pass, when the Uil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took an harp, and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed, and was well, and the Uil spirit departed from him. First Book of Samuel, chapter 16, verse 23. Question 9. David was anointed by the prophet Samuel. Would you say true or false? Let's take 10 seconds to consider. The accurate answer is true. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. First Book of Samuel, chapter 16, verse 13. Question 10. David captured Jerusalem and made it his capital. How do you see it? True or false? A moment for your thoughts. Shedding light, the answer is true. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion. The same is the city of David. Second Book of Samuel, chapter 5, verse 7. Question 11. David founded the Jerusalem Academy of Arts. What's your discernment, true or false? Reflect briefly. The precise answer is false. There is no mention in the Bible of David founding the Jerusalem Academy of Arts. David is primarily known for being a king of Israel and a musician who played the harp for King Saul. Question 12. David became king over all Israel. In your view, is it true or false? Take a moment to ponder. Factually, the answer is true. So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel. Second Book of Samuel, chapter 5, verse 3. Question 13. David was the first to map the stars from the Israeli desert. Is it factual or not? True or false? Think it over for 10 seconds. Upon reflection, the answer is false. There is no record of David mapping the stars from the Israeli desert in the Bible. David was a king and a shepherd, known for his musical skills and slaying Goliath, but not for mapping the stars. Question 14. David established the first library in Jerusalem, storing scrolls of ancient wisdom. Your interpretation, true or false? Allow yourself 10 seconds to decide. The solution to this puzzle is false. There is no mention in the Bible of David establishing a library in Jerusalem or storing scrolls of ancient wisdom. David is known for being a king, warrior, and musician in the Bible, but there is no record of him creating a library. Question 15. David founded the secret society of the Stone Slinger. Do you find it true or false? Reflect thoughtfully for a moment. The much-anticipated answer is false. There is no mention of David founding a secret society called the Stone Slingers in the Bible. Question 16. David was loved by Jonathan, Saul's son. What's your conclusion? True or false? Take a brief pause to think. In essence, the answer is true. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. First Book of Samuel, chapter 18, verse 1. Question 17. David became a great warrior. True or false, according to your understanding? Reflect for 10 seconds. Conclusively, the answer is true. And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely, and Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. First Book of Samuel, chapter 18, verse 5. Question 18. David patented the first iron sword after defeating Goliath. Is this claim true or false in your mind? Contemplate briefly. Divinely speaking, the answer is false. In the biblical story found in 1 Samuel 17, David defeats Goliath with a sling and a stone, not a sword. After Goliath falls, David takes Goliath's own sword and uses it to cut off his head. There is no mention of David patenting any kind of weapon in this story. Question 19. David brought the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem. What does your wisdom tell you? True or false? 10 seconds to think. With wisdom, we find the answer is true. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting, and with the sound of the trumpet. Second Book of Samuel, chapter 6, verse 15. Question 20. David was able to speak and understand the language of animals. True or false? From your perspective, give it a moment of thought. Illuminating our understanding, the answer is false. While he had a special relationship with animals as a shepherd, there is no evidence in the Bible to suggest that he could speak or understand their language. Question 21. David was the youngest son of Jesse. Your belief, true or false? Reflect for a short time. With patience, we reveal the answer is true. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all thy children? And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. First Book of Samuel, chapter 16, verse 11. Question 22. David developed a new calendar system, accurately predicting lunar eclipses. Is this assertion true or false in your assessment? Ponder for 10 seconds. The insight brings us to false. There is no specific Bible verse that mentions David developing a new calendar system or accurately predicting lunar eclipses. Therefore, the statement is not supported by biblical evidence. Question 23. David used a sling and a stone to defeat Goliath. Your decision. Is it true or false? Take a little time to think. Reflecting on the teachings, the answer is true. And David put his hand in his bag, and took thence a stone, and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. First Book of Samuel, chapter 17, verse 49. Question 24. David was pursued by Saul out of jealousy. In your estimation, true or false? Contemplate for a brief moment. The answer in truth is true. And Saul spake to Jonathan his son, and to all his servants, that they should kill David. First Book of Samuel, chapter 19, verse 1. Question 25. David desired to build a temple for God. Is this statement accurate or not? True or false? Reflect briefly. Revealing the true response, it is true. That the king said unto Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in an house of cedar, but the ark of God dwelleth within curtains. Second Book of Samuel, chapter 7, verse 2. Question 26. David was the original inventor of the olive press. Do you consider it true or false? Pause for 10 seconds to decide. Disclosed with care, the answer is false. David was a king and a shepherd in ancient Israel, known for his slaying of Goliath and his reign over the Israelites, but he was not the inventor of the olive press. Question 27. David married Michal, Saul's daughter. What's your stance? True or false? Allow yourself a moment to think. bringing light to the question. It's true. Wherefore David arose and went, he and his men, and slew of the Philistines 200 men. And David brought their foreskins, and they gave them in full tale to the king, that he might be the king's son-in-law. And Saul gave him Michal his daughter to wife. First Book of Samuel, chapter 18, verse 27. Question 28. David conducted the first archaeological dig, uncovering the Tower of Babel. Is this fact or fiction? True or false? Think for a short while. Echoing wisdom, the answer is false. According to the Bible, Book of Genesis, chapter 11, verses 1 to 9, the Tower of Babel was constructed by the people of the world after the Great Flood. The passage does not mention any archaeological dig conducted by David. Question 29. King David wrote an advice column for shepherds in the Jerusalem Times. From your viewpoint, true or false? Consider for 10 seconds. With discernment, the correct response is false. King David did not write an advice column for shepherds in the Jerusalem Times. While King David was a shepherd himself before becoming king, there is no mention in the Bible of him writing an advice column for shepherds or contributing to a newspaper. Question 30. David discovered the fountain of youth while fleeing from Saul. Is it credible or not? True or false? Reflect for a brief period. Prophetically speaking, it's false. The fountain of youth is not mentioned in the Bible, and there is no biblical record of David discovering it while fleeing from Saul. David did not find a fountain of youth, but he did experience many miraculous events and victories throughout his life as recorded in the Bible. The story of David fleeing from Saul can be found in the book of 1 Samuel in the Old Testament. We hope you had fun and learned something new. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more biblical quizzes. Please drop your score in the comments. We're eager to see how you did and hear what topics you'd like us to cover next. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay sharp in your Bible knowledge.